So, we said, can you use it here? It's a closed question, of course. Have you got a clean driving license? Yes, closed question. What's a clean driving license? When you didn't do any accidents or that kind of stuff, you didn't drive while drinking and so on. Can you work shifts? Closed or open? Closed. Do you know what shifts are? There are, in a job, at work, you can have one shift, two shifts. One that starts at 8 and finishes at 5, and then the other one starts at 5 and finishes at 10. Or, I don't know, I cannot count. All right, so these are shifts. Then, what skills have you got in this area? Is it an open or closed question? Open. Tell me about your recent work history. Okay, this is a question mark that shouldn't be there. Anyway, this is open or closed? Open. What makes you feel you will be good at this job? Open. Can you start early in the morning? Closed. What are your strengths? And are you able to work every weekend? Very good. Now, formal and informal language. I know this is very, well, kind of silly. These are kind of silly questions, but I want you to focus because sometimes it's very easy to let some slang words or jargon or informal language. Okay, so you have to be very careful in a job interview. Get a move on. Is that formal or informal? Informal. May I ask a question? What is he on about? Quite informal. Fancy a cuppa, which is quite British. Okay? Please take a seat. Informal. Let's just chill out tonight. Informal. Very good, very good. Now, let's get down to the swing of things. Let's see phone interviews and face-to-face interviews. The phone interview is a part of the hiring process. It can determine whether a potential employee, that is you, is going to be called for a formal face-to-face interview. In this case, it is a first selection process. So this slide is telling us that the phone interview can be the first part of the interview. If you are successful in the phone interview, they will ask you, the prospective employer will ask you to have a face-to-face interview. So the phone interview is crucial, is very important. Now we will see how to handle it. In some other cases, the phone interview is the only interview that will be held, especially when young people, like you, apply for a job or training experience abroad. It happened to me when I was younger that I had some job interviews all on the phone and that was it. If I had made a good impression, then the employer would tell me, yes, come in. There were the jobs I was applying for were not manager positions, of course, okay? But that was just the only interview that I had. So in these cases, of course, is even more important. Most of the times, however, language tests are carried out over the phone. This can also happen in Italy for a job you're applying for in Italy. Maybe they want to test your English, okay? In such cases, the interviewee, which is you, is informed ahead, which means in advance, when the interview will take place. Some typical questions for a language test might be, have you ever been abroad? Have you ever been to England or to the United States? So be prepared to construct something, okay? To tell something about your language experience. Questions? No. Now, in your opinion, which are the most important things to remember in a phone interview?
Speak clearly.
Sorry?
Speak clearly.
Yes, speak clearly, of course. Then, what else? Yeah, enthusiasm. Then, what else? Yeah, okay, apart from that, I can't hear. Come on. Nobody knows anything. What's the meaning of punctuality? How can I be punctual? What's the meaning of being punctual if someone has to phone me? Yes! For instance, if you know that at 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon your potential employer is going to phone you, you don't have to hang around in the marketplace. Try to be in a quiet place so that you can answer. Okay? Now we will see. Be prepared. As you are normally informed about the date and time of the phone interview, you should make sure that your phone is charged. Okay? Very simple, but very important. Be prepared to have a professional tone and choose the right, quiet place, not the bar. Okay. Internet cafes, not really. We will see that when we will deal with Skype interviews. Okay. Be ready to write down a few notes. If the potential employer is going to tell you an email address, for instance, or something, you should better take a note, okay? So be prepared to write down something. If it is a language test, be prepared to make a presentation of yourself, of your past work experience and of your travels, okay? So be prepared. Prepare a discourse. Smile. If you smile on the phone, the other person will notice it, okay? If you smile, I can hear that you're smiling. Sound thrilled. Thrilled means excited, okay, about the work, but do not exaggerate. Show that you can handle the new work duties and issues without lying. So never lie, okay? It doesn't pay. It doesn't pay back if you lie. Do not boast, okay? That means do not exaggerate. Don't tell, oh, I can do this, I can. Do not show off. Or overestimate your capabilities, and the conversation by thanking the interviewer. This is very important, especially in English, okay? We saw that before with politeness. They really like lots of pleases and thank yous. Make sure you understood the next stage. If they are calling you, and when. So what has to be done next? Wait for the employer to hang up first. Okay, so don't click on the prospective employers. I'll wait. Wait for them to do that. Good. Then we have face-to-face interviews. Any questions so far? No. The face-to-face interview is crucial. Therefore, you have to make it successful. Which are the most important things to remember before, during, and after a job interview? Any ideas? Any ideas at all? Let's see. Company information. After the invitation to the interview, learn everything that you can about the company, including the background, the motto, and any values that the company shares. So spare a few moments of your time to go to the company's website and understand what they do, how long they've been doing that, where they are. Okay? Punctuality. It is important to arrive at least 10 minutes ahead of the scheduled interview time to demonstrate that you are punctual and conscious, and I would also add reliable. Okay? Shaking hands. When you are introduced to the interviewer, greet with a firm handshake and a smile. The handshake is very important. I also have problems myself because my hands are always cold or wet because I'm anxious, but I have to make an effort. Handshaking is very important. Maintain the good eye contact throughout the interview. This is a tip which I used to use in the past. If you feel embarrassed and you can't look in the eyes, you have to look at the high cheekbones here, because the other person will have the impression that you are looking at their eyes. Try with each other now. Look at the high cheekbones. lower down, and the other person will feel that you're looking him or her in the eyes. Okay? Good. Let's move on. Dress to impress. Dressing for a job interview can be difficult, as there are many types of workplaces, of course, and many types of attire. Attire is another way to say clothes. However, remember that it is always better to dress a bit conservatively, a bit, okay? Of course, it depends on the type of work we are applying for, it depends on the country, it depends on the company, it depends on many things. But try to dress a bit conservatively, better, at least for the job interview. Then do almost whatever you like, almost. Okay, any questions? Personal appearance. Other important things that are noticed are your hair, your nails, together with your body language. Which means that you should keep a good posture with your legs, with your feet and arms. No hand crossing, for instance, okay? No things like that. No, try to be as, neat as possible. At least for the job interview, okay? Good. So remember that your body speaks for you. Try not to be fidgeting, that means touching things all over, playing with your hair, stuff like that. Try not to do that. Try. Good. For instance, we have some percentages here. We see one of the highest is 70% of the employers claimed, there is a typo there, claimed that they don't want applicants to be fashionable or trendy. So, dress conservatively a bit. Another high one is 67% of the employers say that there is a failure to make eye contact. So look in the eyes of your potential employer. Then we have 47% of the employers say that there is little or no knowledge of the company, which is the most common mistake job seekers, which is you, make during interviews. Okay? Good. Then they say that there is lack of smile, so you should smile. You should transmit the idea that you are enthusiastic about the job, that you like the job. Okay? And okay, other things, bad posture, crossing arms over their chest, and so on. Now, Skype interviews. Sometimes recruiters prefer both to hear you and to see you before inviting you to take a formal face-to-face interview. How would you prepare for a Skype interview?
See if the camera and the microphone work, so instead of
Technical things. What else? Would I have a job interview with my pajama? Over the phone, I can be with my pajama, no problem. What about Skype?
Well, it's like a face-to-face interview. It's just that the employer can see me.
Okay, so from top up,
Yes.
a suit or whatever, and bottom, pajamas, trousers. That could be okay.
And a quiet place.
Yes, avoiding internet cafes, for instance, okay? So asking maybe a neighbor or a friend if we don't have a good connection to help us. Finding the right place, quiet place. So I would say that there are some tips we can take from the phone interview, which is being prepared, choose a quiet place, check the internet connection, smiling, and some others from face-to-face interviews, which is a neat appearance, at least above the waistline, smiling, being punctual, and so on. Okay, so these two types of things to have in mind. I would jump to the video now, which is actually on page 2, because we won't have the time to make all exercises on page 1. So, actually, this page here is just a transcript of a part of the video. I would like to ask you to be interactive in this video because you will have to say something, okay? Then at a certain point during the video there is an interview, and this is the transcript of the interview for you to follow, okay? So let's start with the interview.
EF Pod English. Brought to you by EF Education First and English Town. Learn anytime, anywhere. Pod English, Upper Intermediate 69. Interview. Today we're going to learn how to describe yourself at a job interview using compound adjectives such as hard-working, easygoing.
Anyone good with people? Very well organized. Where I see myself in 5 years?
Thanks for coming in to talk about the volunteer position. You're an accountant, right?
Yes, that's right. I ran an accountancy firm for 5 years, but then I sold the business and now I'm looking for a job to keep me busy during the week.
Okay, let's start by looking at your CV. Can you tell me what you were responsible for in your previous job?
In the accountancy firm, I managed a small staff and I kept the business running successfully.
Right, so you obviously have good leadership ability. What would you say are your main strengths?
Well, I'm pretty strong-minded, I'm very hard-working, but I'm also easygoing, so I get along with most people.
Good, it's important to be warm and friendly if you work with the public. Do you have any special skills?
I'm very computer literate and obviously I have plenty of administrative and financial skills.
Excellent. Those are all useful. Now I'd like to ask you what you feel you can bring to our organisation.
Well, it's been my goal to contribute more to the community. I'd like to think I could be a useful resource for members of the public and a friendly face to be around.
Perfect. The last thing I need to ask you about is your availability. Are there any times you won't be able to work?
Well, my daughter comes to visit on Thursday afternoons, but apart from that, I'm available all week.
Thanks very much for coming in, Mr. Oakes. We'll be in touch early next week.
Now let's talk about the language of the movie. Ben wants to make a good impression on Karina, his interviewer. He does this by describing himself using compound adjectives. These sound impressive. So how does Ben describe himself? Let's watch that part of the movie again.
Well, I'm pretty strong-minded, I'm very hard-working, but I'm also easygoing, so I get along with most people.
Ben says he is strong-minded, hard-working, and easygoing. These are all compound adjectives. A compound adjective joins two or more words together to describe a noun. The words you join can be adjectives, adverbs, and even other nouns. Together they function like one adjective. Let's look at what some of those compound adjectives mean. Strong-minded. This means that Ben is independent and determined. Easygoing. This means that Ben is relaxed and is not easily upset or worried. Here are some more compound adjectives. Well-organized, fast-paced, highly paid, and goal-oriented. If you are goal-oriented, it means you are good at working to a specific aim. We often use a hyphen to join the words together, especially if the compound adjective comes before the noun.
I'm very computer literate and obviously I have plenty of administrative and financial skills.
Yes, there's one compound adjective here, and that's computer literate. It means he is good at using computers. Are you computer literate? Notice here that we don't use a hyphen. Now it's your turn to try. Ben works hard. Can you think of a compound adjective to describe Ben?
Yes.
That's right, Ben is hard-working. Let's try another. Ben is good with computers. Use a compound adjective to describe Ben. That's right, Ben is computer literate. Well done. And can you remember the compound adjective we use to describe someone who is relaxed? Someone who is not easily upset or worried?
Easygoing.
That's right, easygoing. Well done. And can you remember another compound adjective we use to describe someone who is independent and determined? Yes, strong-minded. Excellent. I think you've now achieved your goal of learning about compound adjectives. Excellent work! Now you know some really great ways of describing yourself at a job interview. I hope you enjoyed the lesson. See you next time.
I'm calm. I'm solution oriented. Get great skills. This job is mine.
Any questions about the video? For instance, have you noticed that in point 9, Christine, I think that was her name, says, asks, what do you feel you can bring to our organization? Okay? This is the typical point of view of an employer. If the employer will hire you, it's because he or she thinks that you can bring something to the organization. And this is the attitude that you have to have during a job interview. You don't have to think for yourself, or at least do not show that you think for yourself. You have to show that you will give something of yours to the company. Okay? This is very important. Could you tell me the meaning of running? I kept the business running successfully. What's the meaning of running there? Couldn't hear.
Work.
Yeah. Keep the business going. Okay. But in 2 we have the same verb, run, but it has a different meaning. He says, I ran an accountancy firm. Could you tell me a synonym for that? What's the meaning of run there? Yes, I managed. Very good, very good. Okay, let's move on. Now, we will have a look at some typical job interview questions. How to reply to the interviewer. When you're asked questions, it is important to avoid long pauses. Okay, so try to keep your pauses as small as possible. Small pauses are fine and can be used to emphasize your point of view. It is easy to go off track. Be sure that your words answer the question that you were asked. Okay? Have answers prepared within your head to common questions, such as, tell me about yourself. In this case, you will have to list your education and work experience related to the job. Which added value can you bring to us? Okay, this is the same thing we have just seen. Which are your good and bad personality traits? This is very, very important. Some interviewer may ask this. So you have to have a list, let's say at least 1 or 2 good points of yours, but also bad points. You have to have. So now, I want you to think of your good points and bad points. Couple of moments, and then I will ask you. Because we all have in mind our strengths, but we never think of our weaknesses. And you have to have a couple, because they will ask you. Of course, don't say, I'm envy. I'm an envy person. I feel anger towards my colleagues. No, not something like that. Something which is acceptable. Okay? So now, think of your good traits and bad traits, and then I will ask you. So, confession time. So, who would like to start? Good traits. Yours. Yes. No, you. No, her. Yes. Good traits. Couple.
I can be focused whenever I have a job.
Yes, this is very used. I'm very focused. I'm a focused person. That means that you are dedicated. What you do it with your heart and with your mind. You throw yourself completely on what you do. So you can say, I'm very focused, which is good. Now, another one.
I'm very precise.
Very precise. You can say also, I have special care for details. I have special care for details. Now, bad traits. Tell me something bad. Bad about you. Yeah. Bad. Yeah. Weaknesses. But, I mean, moderate weaknesses. Because the employer have to accept it, okay?
No, punctuality.
Okay, so sometimes I'm late. This is something very important. Whenever you say a weakness, try to balance it, okay? For instance, she can say, sometimes I'm late, but I'm trying to work on it and to improve this bad side of mine, okay? Or you can say, I'm quite a shy person, but I always try to make more friends and to be in contact with people. So every time you say a weakness, try to balance it, okay? Or you can say, I am a rush person. I'm always in a rush, and I never see. I mean, I always want to get to the point and finish quickly, but I always accept my colleagues' advice, so they can slow me down a little bit. So try to compensate. Another question could be, why should we hire you? That is related to which added value can you bring. Tell me something you would change about yourself and your work attitudes, okay? Which are your best skills? Do not boast, okay? Do not show off. And what are you really good at? Are you prepared to travel on a regular basis or extensively? Where would you see yourself in 5 years' time? Okay, this is another common question. And here you have to be prepared to this question. If you're applying for a management position, you have to say that you see yourself as a manager, not as a chef in Hawaii. Okay? So you have to be prepared to this. Now, what can you ask? Which questions should you avoid, in your opinion? Have a look at this, at these questions, and tell me what you should avoid, in your opinion. What else? Okay. Well, to tell you the truth, they all depend on the position. Because if I know that I will be what's called in English a blue collar, that is a worker in industries and factories, of course I will ask about my shifts. Okay? So it really depends on what you're applying for. So let's see each of them. Which is the pay scale? It depends on your experience and the job you're applying for. Remember that you have the right to know your pay, okay? But try to ask it at the very end of the interview, not from the beginning. And when I was your age, I was scared, I was afraid to ask my pay. But of course, as you gather experience, it's normal for you to ask for the pay, okay? But the very beginning, try not to ask for it, straightforward, okay? Which are the job duties? This is a good and most appreciated question. Knowing this information can help you to demonstrate that you are the best candidate. Are there any possibilities of advancement? This question could be appreciated or not. It depends on the position you're applying for. Normally, it's better not to ask for it, because it would seem that you don't really like what you are offered, and you already aim at something else. so they will not take you. Okay, so try not to ask it. Which are the working hours? This, as we said, depends on the position. Is overtime paid? If you're applying for a manager position, of course, overtime is not paid. It depends. Better not to ask. Okay? After the interview, it is important to thank the employer for his or her time. And why not? Make a follow-up call after a few days. This could be seen as intrusive, especially in big companies, but there are proper ways to make a phone call in order to obtain the information. You can simply make a short phone call to ask whether the position has been filled or not. Okay? Very short, without any harm. Okay? Good. Any questions? No. Now, another very important part. How and where I can find a job. I will give you many websites now. You can either write them down or they are all in the ebook that I will suggest you at the end. Okay? We'll skip this. Okay, so this is very simple. Okay? The Euro pages, the yellow pages in Europe. What you have to do? You just and simply type in the field the type of sector you're interested in. If you want to work in the UK or in Ireland for an advertising company, you write them down, advertising company, advertising. And then you'll see what happens. And these are a list of potential employers, of companies you can contact. Okay? And you send your application to, you visit their websites, and so on. This is another way. Finding the yellow pages in the country of your interest. This is for UK, for instance, but every country has its own yellow pages. Chambers of Commerce, Italian Chambers of Commerce abroad. This is the example of our Chambers of Commerce in the United Kingdom. As you can see under the associates, the members actually, you have a list of the members, and the list of the members are, of course, companies. And each company is dealing with this in a specific sector. You will look for the companies in the sector of your interest. Okay, so this is another idea. The same as with the Industry Employers Association. We have this Confindustria in many countries abroad. The same thing. You look for the members, you select the members in the sector, in the field of your expertise, of your interest, and you contact them. Most likely they are Italian companies abroad, as with the Chambers of Commerce. Okay? There's another way. Okay, just run a simple internet search. That was the basic one, the most simple one, for instance. And then we have Monster. Have you ever heard of Monster? Okay, this is one of the biggest and greatest search engine, job search engine. This is the international one. We go to the British one. So you type in monster.co.uk, and in the field I'm looking for, you type in what you would like to become, what you're looking for, and where exactly, in which city, if you have a reference city. And then you click on search. I did that for you, so we see now how it works. So I typed in, for instance, mechanical engineer, and I didn't enter any city. I just clicked on search, and this is what I obtained. I picked up just one, which was maintenance mechanical engineer, and I clicked on that. And here I have this. So this is a job description. I get full information about my duties, the working hours, and the pay. If I like this, then I can hit on apply. And this is what I get. Of course, the system is asking me to sign in. That means to get a login, okay? So I will have to write my email address, my password, and then, once I've done that, I will have the chance to upload my curriculum, okay? I will have also the chance to create a cover letter. I suggest doing that. And then, of course, other questions pertinent to the job. In the end, Monster asks me whether I want Monster to send me job-related advertisements. I mean, other job advertisements like the one I've just applied for. I can say yes, so that in my email box, I will receive this job alert, as they call it. And then I click on submit, and that's it. If the employer is interested, he or she will reply. Other job search engines like Monster is stepstone.com. And it works the same. Then we have also Job Rapido, why not? I can choose the country. And also this one. And then Kelly Services as well. Okay, so there are many job search engines. Of course, then, okay, now it's not called anymore Leonardo, sorry, I should update this slide. We have the Erasmus Plus. Of course, I know you know it from the university, which is a good way to start. Of course, through your university, either Unicam or University of Macerata. And then here we have the EURES. I will be very short. With this. Okay, here you can choose either to contact a EURES advisor. You have at least one EURES advisor in each region. So you will contact the person and you will ask the person to help you find a job. I did that 10 years ago, no, more, when I went to Germany. So I had an appointment with a EURES advisor who advised me. Okay, so you can do that, or you can search for a job yourself in the database. And we will see. So for instance, I can select the type of work I'm interested in. Then, or I can make another kind of selection. For instance, I want to work anywhere as Italian speaker. Let's see what the database pulls me. Okay? Then you have to select the country. And here are some examples. Some examples of all the job positions. Okay? What is important here is that you can contact the company directly, because you can see here, to apply, please forward a CV via email too. Okay? So there is no agency in between. It's you and the company. Good. ISAC is an international student organization focused on paid international internship or volunteering experiences. And it's present in 124 countries. Okay, so this is their website. You will have to fill in a form. Of course, they have their procedure and so on, but that's another way to start somewhere, somehow. Then, another possibility is to imagine that you are interested in a specific sector in particular, and you just visit the website or the fairs and exhibitions of that sector. And you have a list of all exhibitors. Okay? So for instance, I picked up this, which is just a book fair in Pisa. Or you can pick up, if you are specialized in design or in furniture, you can refer to the MADE Expo in Milan and have a list there of all the exhibitors, which are companies in Germany, in Denmark, in Italy, international companies. You can send your application, okay? Of course, it's a spontaneous application, okay? But it's still something. We also have the Italian Trade Commission. Actually, they offer services to businesses, not to single persons. But the information contained in their website is useful. For instance, we can pick up a country of our interest and have information about the exhibitions. Okay, so the same discourse as before, we look for the companies in the sector we are interested in. Or we can get some links, useful links for that country, such as the Employers Association. We can contact, visit their webpage, look at the members, the same things we've seen before. Okay? This is another thing. Then, temporary job agencies on the spot. Okay, imagine that you want to go to work in Ireland, you're already in Dublin, you look for a deco there. Okay? Or you contact a deco in Dublin from Italy. Next month I will come to Dublin. Can we start looking for something for me? Okay, so this is another way. And we have also manpower, as I'm sure you know. The best thing, however, would be to be already on the spot, which means in the country, in order to contact the recruitment agency and go directly for an interview. Having a country mobile number helps being shortlisted. Okay? This is something I personally experienced. When I was looking for a job abroad, but I was still in Italy, nobody would call me because I didn't have a local mobile number. Okay? If you give your Italian mobile number, nobody cares. So that's why it's better to be already there, to be available immediately. Then, of course, we have some other recruitment agency, local recruitment agencies. I just searched in Google I typed in recruitment agency Dublin, and this is the list I got. So this is something also you can start with. But bearing in mind that it would be better for you to be there, okay? So you can plan some interviews with them when you know you will be there. This is another example of a local job agency in Dublin. Also in our Ministry of Foreign Affairs website, we do have something which is not much, but better than nothing. And then we also have some international job fairs. For instance, in the Netherlands, or worldwide. But of course you should go there. Okay? There is actually a virtual one also. There's the Global Career Fair online. Okay? Okay, these are just some websites if you happen to be interested in working in Australia, Canada, New Zealand. Maybe. Then, some other tips. Job advertisements in foreign sector magazines or newspapers. For instance, you can find some job advertisements in The Guardian. Of course, you have to be already abroad. Sending your curriculum to major multinational companies. Asking advice to friends who already live there. Okay? I used to ask for help. I went to visit a friend of mine when I worked in Ireland. I stayed there 3 weeks. I had some jobs interview, and then I was planning to come back, but I was hired, so I was lucky. I didn't have to come back. I stayed there. So asking help to friends can be a good idea. Also your Erasmus colleagues, for instance, okay? Then, some other things, okay, quite naive. Working from home as a freelancer. These are some useful websites. House sitting. This could be a great opportunity for the youngest to travel and live abroad. If you sit a house, you will have to take care of it as if you were the owner, who in exchange will allow you to stay in the household rent-free. Okay? This is for you if you want to travel the world. You will have to leave the house to discourage burglars or other criminals from breaking in. You will have to collect the mail, pay the utility bills, and water the garden if they have one. Okay? So, as if the owners were there. These are some useful websites, if you happen to think of it. Of course, you may be required to pay an annual registration fee. Well, you're young, you may think of it, okay? Okay, then last, we have some websites which would be useful for you to visit. Italiansinfuga.com, which is in Italian actually, it's not in English. Okay, but this is an example of some news I took from this website. This is very important. It's in Italian, it's not in English, but this is very important because it will tell you useful information about the safety of a country from every point of view. Okay? For instance, Australia is considered to be at risk from the fauna. Okay? From natural things and the fauna, animals. Okay? So, this website is quite interesting for this reason. Okay, and this other one. Good. Okay, this is if you are looking for accommodation, but I don't think this is actually the case. So, all these websites and the content of this workshop and the workshop we had in the morning is in this ebook. You can download it from my webpage or from the store, inserting the book title or my first name and last name. Do you have any questions? Okay. I hope you are satisfied with the workshop. If you have any questions, private questions, not too private, but private questions, I'm here at your disposal, okay? Thank you for being here this afternoon. Bye-bye.